Welcome to News, Views and Foreign Language Clues for November 2025. Can you believe it? I'm going to talk about AI again. YouTube auto-dubbing to be precise. In September, YouTube announced a whole raft of changes for video creation, many of them AI-based. Welcome to SlopTube. But there's one that's specifically to do with language. Auto-dubbing taken to another level. No, they didn't actually say that they were making the translations in auto-dubbing better. The update was that they are going to manipulate your image to make it look as if you're talking in the language of the auto-dubbing. Does anyone else think that's creepy as heck? It's even more so because I've heard it reported that some auto-dubbing voices, when they don't manage to imitate your own for whatever reason, maybe just a technical glitch, give you a voice that doesn't match your gender. The thing is, too, when you actually speak in a foreign language, your pronunciation and fluidity in the language is never perfect. So having your mouth move with the language in perfect time, as fast as you'd speak your own language, just seems so wrong. Is this where dubbing of films and the like is going to go in the future? Honestly, in that scenario, as long as the actors are on board with it, it makes more sense. A lot of voice actors will be out of a job though, which is not good. But on a YouTube video, in a more real-life situation, to me it really doesn't work. I sincerely hope people have the option to turn that function off if they want to, when it appears on their YouTube studio. Just one more reason I don't want to watch any videos in auto-dubbed language. Now, Duolingo Portuguese. I've decided not to do a separate post on this because there's not a lot to say. You will remember if you've been here for a while that I did a whole post about how Duolingo ruined the Portuguese course with an update that was far from an upgrade. They had removed pretty much all the tenses, apart from the present. Not good. I went back and looked at the screenshot I took, and that was on 24th of April 2025. On 22nd August 2025, I went into the app and clicked on the Portuguese section and discovered that it had been updated again, without any message from Duo this time. It had a whole new section. Or was it just the fourth section replaced? Well, no, it couldn't be, because it had 60 units to it, and the original, as far as I can remember, had about 30. I did a quick scan of the lessons and it was clear that it did now include some past tense content, so I set about going through the lessons. I was immediately given sentences that had the preterite tense in them, which was odd. If this was simply adding to what had been previously upgraded, you would expect a whole section teaching the preterite in this new batch of units. That didn't seem to be what it was. Was this a combination of going back to how it was with a few extra units added? One thing I found was that the English sentences, the translations, were getting weirder and weirder, and I don't think this is because it's American English. I've been consuming content in American English for a long time now, and I think I can recognise the difference. These strike me as AI literal translations of sentences that aren't actually how people speak. A person whose first language is English can probably work these things out, but a lot of people do the English 2 versions of the courses because there aren't versions from their own languages. I wonder how they are going to fare with this. Will they start thinking this is proper English? I hope not. So preterite back and imperfect was added, and that was about it. 60 units added for just 2 tenses. There was a hint of a compound tense towards the end, appearing in a couple of sentences, but everything else was mainly vocabulary-based and some ways of expressing things, which I'm trying not to take too much notice of because they might be Brazilian Portuguese specific. This is frustrating because there's still no pluperfect, no conditional, no subjunctive as the subjunctive. Some of the subjunctive forms are used elsewhere. No future, although as I understand it, that's not used a lot in Portuguese. Honestly, I got really bored with it by the end and was skipping sections after one step on the path. If it gets another section added, I'm not even sure I'd bother with it. but we'll see. And finally, a couple of things about Italian that I discovered reading this month's book. We've all heard of una cosa, for a thing. But what about un coso? Turns out this also means a thing, but it's a bit more informal and can be translated as a thingamajig, a whatchamacallit, something that doesn't have a name, or I guess that you don't know the name of. According to reverso context, it can also refer to people in what I would term as a slightly derogatory way. Probably best not to use it in that context unless you get it wrong. Also, a number of times there was something described as un buco nell'acqua. I could kind of get the sense of it, but the Kindle dictionary just translated it literally. On further investigation, it seems it's a way of saying something was a bust, a washout, a damp squib. A lot of different expressions come up on reverso context for it, depending on the exact context. But I think you get the idea. Things weren't going well in some way or another. But why say something is a hole in the water? Because that's impossible, right? A quick search reveals that this is a centuries-old expression from the fact that it is impossible to maintain a hole in water for more than a few seconds. Presumably the only way to do it is by creating a vortex. So it's something that you do in vain, it's futile, and that meaning seems to have expanded out a little in modern usage.